Hello students. Today I'll be discussing about battered woman syndrome, which is part of my forensic psychology course. Battered woman syndrome refers to a cluster of symptoms that are experienced by women who experience repeated intimate partner violence. A battered woman is the one who is over the age of 16 and have evidences of physical abuse at the hand of an intimate male partner, whether married couple or not. It is also known as other names for such as battered wife syndrome, which refers to a symptom complex which occurs as a result of violence in which women have received deliberate, severe, and repeated physical abuse from her husband, and the minimal injury must be severe bruising. So this repeated is more at least more than 3 times. So this repeated, deliberate, and severe violence refers to battered wife syndrome or battered woman syndrome. Richweld and McCluskey have categorized violent act from the least to the most severe. In other words, from verbal abuse, threat of violence, throwing an object at someone, pushing, slapping, kicking, hitting, beating up, threatening with a weapon, and use of a weapon. All these acts have been defined as violent act, and instances of all these on women in a intimate relationship refers to battered woman syndrome, and it also is one of the definition included in domestic violence. All these definitions incorporate concepts of intentionality and repetitive nature of the assault. So intention must be to harm or to abuse the woman, and the nature of these assaults must be repeated. So one or single instance of such violent act or abuse may not be categorized or classified as being battered woman, but if it is repetitive in nature, it is known as battered woman. In most of these definitions and studies done on this issue, they have defined battered woman syndrome in terms of physical abuse. However, in most violent relationships, there are presence of mental abuse and intimidation. So not only physical abuse but also mental abuse and intimidation are found as integral components of this abuse syndrome. Battered woman syndrome is identified as a subcategory of post-traumatic stress disorder and is included in DSM-4. It is also present in WHO's International Classification of Disease. Battered woman syndrome is defined, it is also known as battered person syndrome. It is defined as a psychological condition that can develop when person experience abuse, usually at the hand of an intimate partner. This term was coined by psychotherapist Lenore Walker in late 1970s, and she defined it as a set of distinct physical, psychological, and behavioral symptoms that result from direct personal experience of a series of violent acts by an intimate partner. So again, the series of acts is an important component for its definition. Walker conducted a study from July 1978 to 1981. She interviewed about 435 women in Rocky Mountain region of Colorado, and those women were victims of domestic violence. All these women she found that were prolonged that had prolonged exposure to situations of intimate partner violence. On the basis of her study and the findings, she coined this term battered woman syndrome, and she suggested that all these women experience at least four kinds of intimate partner violence. These four kinds include sexual abuse. This may include rape, unwanted sexual contact, or verbal sexual harassment. Stacking, which involves a person using threatening tactics to cause a person to feel fear and concern for their safety. So when the intimate partner threatens women which cause fear is stacking. It also includes physical abuse, which includes but not limited to slapping, pushing, burning, and the use of knife, gun, or other weapon to cause body harm. And fourth is psychological aggression. Not necessarily physical, but psychological abuse of a woman, which includes name calling, humiliation, coercive control, to ensure that women behave in a way that a male person wants. So all these four types of intimate partner violence ultimately lead to battered woman syndrome, which shows following symptoms. When women develop this cluster of symptoms, she feels isolated, anxious, depressed, and helpless. She is embarrassed, she fear about being judged and being stigmatized. So fear that if people know about her situation, she will be judged as bad and she will be stigmatized as a not normal woman, or a woman having not normal marital or intimate relationship. Such women love the person who is abusing them and usually believe that they will change. Her love is so much that they usually fail to recognize that this is a situation which demands attention. Rather, they falsely believe that situation will be normal and the person will be changed. It is seen that such women are emotionally withdrawn from the relationship, if not in early phases, but definitely in the later phases of their relationships. They start denying that anything is wrong and they start to excuse the other person. They are usually unaware of the availability of any kind of help, and they have perceived moral or religious reason for staying in the relationship. They consider that it's their moral responsibility to maintain the relationship and to keep the family together, or they have perceived religious teachings, beliefs that consider that a woman must be in a relationship whatever happens to her. They also refuse to leave the relationship. So if we see the behavioral aspect of these women, usually we may find it difficult to understand why they are not coming out of the relationship. A normal person will never understand that why such woman who is receiving so much abuse is not coming out of the relationship. These behaviors may include refusing to leave, believing that the other person is powerful or knows everything. When things are normal, things are calm, they idealize the betterer and consider that He is an ideal person. And also, in most of the cases, such women start believing that somehow they deserve this abuse. Somehow they are responsible for this abuse. We also found that if this situation is not changed, not intervened about, if no help is given, the impact of this abusive relationship can continue for years, and for some time people may develop long-term symptoms. They may experience sleep problems, which may later develop into having nightmares or insomnia. They may have sudden intrusive feelings about the abuse. They may avoid talking about the abuse at all. They start considering them this incidents non-existent or not important. They start avoid the situation that remind them of the abuse. They cut themselves from the social surroundings. They don't try to meet to people who know her. Cause all these situations may trigger the abuse experience. They experience feeling of anger, sadness, hopelessness, and many of the time worthlessness. They have intense feeling of fear, and they may have panic attacks or flashbacks of the abuse throughout their lifetime. So such long-term consequences are very harmful for these women, and thus they require timely and appropriate intervention, which may be initiated by the woman herself or should be initiated by the persons who are aware about such woman's situation. Walker believed that this battered woman syndrome develops in a continuous cycle of 3 stages. She believed that spousal abuse occurs in cycle, which have 3 stages: tension building stage, acute battering stage, and loving contrition. In the first tension building stage, it is seen that the tension is gradually increasing in discrete acts, which may result in family hostility, family instability. The small incidences in this stage may include name calling, intimidating remarks, meanness, mild physical abuse such as pushing. In almost all the cases, the batterer, the male partner, expresses dissatisfaction and hostility, but it is in mild form, not in an explosive form. As a result, the woman attempts to pacify the situation and try to please him or calm him down. She believes at this stage that it is with her which have aggravated the person. It is her fault that has resulted in this situation, and she believes that if she calms down and she avoid this, the further aggravation might be stopped. She try not to respond to this situation and is often successful at first. She believed that yes, this is the best way to deal with it. However, as this tension builds, she finds it difficult to control her anger and usually withdraw from the situation, which in turn lead to more aggressive behavior by the partner. Why? Because he consider her withdrawal as negligence of what he or she is speaking about. So in this first stage, the tension is at its highest peak. Now any incidents can trigger this stage and lead to the second stage, which is known as the acute battering incidents. In this stage, there is uncontrollable discharge of tension, which have built up in the tension building stage, and any small trigger will result in the attack on the victim, both verbally and physically, and often it leave her injured. If at this point of the time the woman engage in self-defense, it is found that they may actually commit severe injury to the betterer, or they might even kill the betterer, because this incidence is very much severe. However, in most of the cases it doesn't happen and women experience and accept that. It is also found that about two-thirds of the cases, betterer who abuse is under heavy drinking or is under some alcohol or substance control. And thus the victim often believe that it is not the person but the drinking or intoxication is the cause of this beating, and that is why she excuses the betterer. This false belief is so strong that majority of the cases in which police is called at this point, even they believe and conclude that this incident took place out of the drinking. The third stage, loving contrition, which is also known as honeymoon phase. In this phase, the betterer tries to convince the victim that it was his fault and he will try to change. The betterer apologizes and asks for forgiveness. He shows kindness and showers the victim with gifts and promises. During this phase, the victim begins to hope that the relationship is strong, it can be saved, and the violence will not reoccur. Since many betterer seems charming and manipulative, the victim actually believes that the problem is solved and the life is better. However, these three cycles continue one after another, and as it continues, there is an increase in the first phase, tension building, and decrease in third phase. Mean there is always, as this continues, there is always a tension in the family, and the loving contrition duration is shorter and shorter and shorter in further cycles. The betterer learns that he has controlled the victim and does not need to put much energy to obtain forgiveness. The betterer believes that the woman is not going to withdraw from the relationship. And also the victim has developed a sense of self-helplessness. She is so demoralized that she finds it difficult to leave the situation, even if she has the opportunity to do so. She feels she can't think about going out of the relationship. Why this happens? Why can't they leave? Walker tried to explain it using the learned helplessness concept of Seligman. She used this concept to explain why better women fail to leave. As we know, learned helplessness theory explains psychological paralyzing following the social learning, motivational and cognitive theoretical principle, which tells us that after a series of bad incidences, people seem to believe that they are helpless. Walker explained this using the learned helplessness principle and argued that this continuous exposure to battering diminishes a woman's motivation to respond, and she falsely believes that she is helpless, she can't do anything to change this situation. The other reason which might be important or which might be responsible for this might be financial dependence. Women find it very difficult to leave the person because she believes that she is financially dependent on the abuser. This dependence is often manufactured by the abuser. They let the woman believe that she is financially dependent on her rather than it is an objective dependence. Women want to have a complete family unit for their children's sake, and thus they don't want to get out of the relationship. She might be afraid to leave. She might develop disbelief or denial that the partner is actually abusive, and she may continue to believe that it's the story of every family, every household. She might develop severe depression or might have very low self-esteem that make her think that the abuse is only her fault. She might have done something which has resulted in this abuse. And after all, they always believe that if the abuser loves them, it is okay to be abused and they can change the behavior. So they falsely believe that what if he abused? If he loves as well, it is okay. There might be some reason or some moments when abuse is occurring, but otherwise he loves her. If this abuse cycle continues and not intervened, the long-term consequences of abuse might be very prominent. It may lead to reduced self-esteem in women, may develop long-term symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder. It may lead to long-term disability and health-related problems, and it may lead to permanent feeling of guilt and shame in the woman. There are various myths around the battered woman syndrome. They are prevalent. Hoffler listed a number of these myths which are about battered women. The first is battered women are always from the lower socioeconomic groups. That is a myth. Yes, it is true that domestic violence is more reported in lower socioeconomic groups. But the reason is not that it happens only more in lower socioeconomic groups. The reason is because this group utilize government or public hospitals for emergency facilities. These public hospitals report such incidences to police, and thus these cases are more registered for this lower socioeconomic groups. The higher socioeconomic group or middle socioeconomic group, in contrast, take help of private hospitals or physicians where they may hide this incidence and it may not come to the public. There have been studies which show that this battering of women occurs in all groups, regardless of race, religion, socioeconomic category, education, everything. So that is a myth that it happens in lower socioeconomic group. The second method, that battered women must enjoy the abuse, otherwise they would have to take the children and leave. She must enjoy the abuse. However, the studies have suggested the otherwise. They have suggested that they don't enjoy this. The reason for them to be in this abusive relationship are complex and multiple. However, their life is not such that they enjoy. Their life situations are chaotic. They are always frightening and they have to face violence all the time. The third myth is a woman who gets beaten probably provoked her partner. Even the victims of abuse believe the same. They believe that they deserve the battering. However, the violence resides within the batterer, not that the woman deserves this. And the circumstances that lead to the violence are often such that could have been avoided. But the betterer don't avoid it, and women accept responsibility of the violence only to maintain sense of control over her situation and to protect her family. She believed that something in her actions may allow her to control the betterer and may help her protect her family from possible separation. The fourth myth is the battered woman who is serious about solving the problem could have the betterer arrested and put in jail. If they don't like this situation, they could always report to police why they are in the relationship. That is another common myth. But it's not that simple. Women don't want this, and they don't report also for a variety of reasons. She might be financially dependent on the person and she find it difficult to be independent, and because of the child they have to care about, they may have to face it. They also have the fear that if they report it to police, the batterer will or may inflict more severe punishments once he is released. We know the situation of punishment in our country, that in most of the cases the person are set free, and after this the situation might even worsen for the woman. And the last myth is that the battered woman's if a battered woman remarries, she usually chooses another violent man. So first thing, a woman should not go out of the relationship, and if she goes out of the relationship, she must avoid remarry. That is another myth. However, results have shown that a number of abused women remain single after leaving an abusing relationship. And many women who marry after one bettering experience, they make a conscious effort not to marry a betterer, and in most of the cases, they find a man who are not violent. So that's not the case that they leave one betterer and choose another. So these are the few points I wanted to discuss about battered woman syndrome. I hope it is clear to you all. If you find any difficulty, any question, any concern, you may always contact me on back channel communication options. Thank you. Jai Hind.